Good morning again. It's the Yes Way Jose. And of course, if you haven't figured out, yes, I am that Jose. But anyway, good morning to everybody. We've got a special guest for you today. But I want to get started. First of all, we always have to get an update on Gaga Ball. We have our coach and mentor here who's got a traveling team. Eli, you want to start? First of all, for everybody, Eli was on time.
He was early.
I was 15 minutes early.
15 minutes early.
I'm doing
What
really
is this
good
world coming to? We got a guy coming early now?
Yeah.
Is this like promotional? You trying to get promoted or something?
And for the record, I think Jose may have been late.
Hey, it was 10 o'clock. I was on a phone call, shaking and making things happen.
He was already in the building before we got here. So at least
Which it should have been easier, right?
he did just have to walk down the hall.
So listen. I'll get back with you. So no updates yet on Gaga Ball?
No, not yet.
All right, keep us posted on that. All right, well, good morning to everybody. Listen, we want to make sure that, first of all, I've got to share a little thought with you. We put out there that we actually constructed the basketball goals back at Roby, and they were out there for the longest time for kids to play many, many, many years ago. And so there was about 15 years or so that just had one dilapidated goal out there, and I said, look, we can do better. We put the goals out there. Lee Barger, I got to tell you, the guy did a great job. He's wonderful with kids. And what he did last night, what we had it set up, we had hot dogs, we had some bottled water and some chips for everybody, and we had music out there, and then we had the kids. And so he has his traveling team. And so they were out there, and they did their drills, and it was kind of fun to watch that. Then the action came. The real game.
Yeah, there's bandages in the studio.
Yeah, I'm in a body cast today.
Yeah, he was late because he was limping down the hall.
I was. So what happened was, it was really cool because we got started, and so it was the older guys. So a bunch of the folks. I mean, I was really impressed with this one guy named Ronnie. He's 66 years old, and he was just all over the place. We're awesome. But what happened was, so the old guys played the old guys in the first game. And the mayor went down, up on the layup here, went down, and we had EMS there, so we did have it covered. And I was making so much fun of that, but I ran up and down the court a couple of times. I was begging for oxygen. I was begging for an IV. I mean, it was that rough. I thought, I'm in great shape. No, I'm not. That was a no. Anyway, so we played. We got that game done. And then, on top of that, great game. Our team lost to the other old guys, but then we played the kids. And we beat those kids.
Oh, well,
yeah!
At least you can have pride in that.
Now I can have some. I got honors now.
The important thing is when you went down, was it a block or a charge?
No, I think somebody pushed me.
Oh, is that what it was?
No, I'm good. I'm blaming it on Joe Pat. He was on the other team, and I'm thinking he just kind of pushed me. And we're working on the video now.
The ref was looking the other way.
We're checking the video now. But anyway, it was a great time, and what it was about with all the parents there. It was just about saying this is community, right? We have now things for kids to do. We've got bigger plans. Everybody knows about that. And I get the running joke is every time I get to talk about these things, I talk about them all the time, and I love doing it. But yesterday was just a very simple community, kids playing, and it was great. The weather was great. I ordered that, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know I'm in charge.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If it's bad weather,
I've heard you have a.
Let me explain.
Line.
Yeah, but let me explain how this works. When it's bad weather, I blame my wife.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but when it's good weather, I did it. But anyway, it was a great time. I want to tell you guys, it was a lot of fun, and it's kind of the feeling that a lot of the parents talking to them, they're excited about things that happen, but I think it's just being excited about the community. So with that said, I just want to tell you, I had a great time. I'm not moving very quickly today. I'm going to go ahead and say that out loud. But anyway, so we got a great show for you here. We got an all-star we brought here today.
Yeah.
We brought a guy named Peyton Griffee in here today. And Peyton, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mayor. Good to see you.
Yeah, so what I'm going to let him do a little bit, just kind of do an intro. I mean, a lot of people know you. We're excited for you because I think I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but I'm kind of making you the new face of Bullitt County.
Well,
so
I
take that. But
yeah,
introduce yourself to everybody here on the
yes,
podcast.
sir. Yeah, so I'm Peyton Griffee. I'm the District 26 state rep in the State House. Recently elected in a special election in March. And then we'll be back on the ballot November unopposed. So for at least the next 2 years, I'll be the state rep for the 26th district, which includes a large portion of Shepherdsville, our neighbors in the north end, a little part of Mount Washington, and then Hardin County, Fort Knox. So I'm excited to do that. I'm born and raised in Mount Washington and own a small business here in Shepherdsville, right on Buckman Street in a historic building with my law partner Hayden Sweat, the Sweat and Griffee law firm. So we're proud Shepherdsville business leaders and love to be here and appreciate everything that you're doing, Mayor. But had that going for about 2 years. As I said, born and raised in Mount Washington. Ran for this election in March. Took over then and have really enjoyed that. And then I also serve in the Army Reserve at Fort Knox. So I truly
Thank you for your service.
Well, I appreciate it, Mayor.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to get to with the 26th district. It starts in northern Mount Washington, where I was born and raised, and now live with my wife in our home. My business is in the district. Buckman Street is covered. South Buckman is covered by the district, and then Fort Knox, as I said, I represent. So I head there once a month. Is a military prosecutor is what I do for them. So
good.
So it's pretty cool to get to cover that whole district.
All right.
Yeah, can you tell them to keep it down? I live right in front of.
Sounds
They're
of
right
freedom.
behind me. Yeah,
Sounds of freedom. They're yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
They've been warning us about some loud noises over there.
That's
Yep.
right. Yeah.
So, listen, for everybody here, first of all, we always talk about, the whole idea with the podcast is to try to reach out to folks to get them involved, give them information about things. But Peyton, about yourself, he looks 12. If you don't know who Peyton Griffee is, he looks like he's 12 years old.
He told me he was 28. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I want to see some ID.
Well, I tell you, Mayor, the first time I went to Frankfort, right before I swore in, I went with Judge Summers and then my dad, who's the CFO of Bullitt County. And we walked around. They thought I was their intern. They think I
that's
was
fine.
a Bullitt student just following them around.
That's why he dresses so nicely. He has to elevate himself past the baby
That's right.
face.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Well, I will tell you, it's exciting, and what I like about it is youth is a good thing, and it hopefully it inspires people. Maybe not so much to run for office, but just to be engaged. The biggest thing we want to try to do is, if you vote, you got a voice.
Yep.
We unfortunately see that the younger crowd doesn't vote.
Right.
There's spirited attitude. There's different events. They get all excited, and then when it comes to actually going to the polling place and voting, it's not like it needs to be. We had a very disappointing, I think it was less than 10% voting in this last one. And so we want to make sure, obviously presidential elections actually bring people out, but we have to find some way to engage the young group. And we're hoping that, and not putting too much pressure on you, but we obviously see you involved in a lot of things. You're engaged. I see different social medias that you're in and that you're involved. And I like that. I think it's great. And I think you're going to be, I think a lot of people have been very supportive of you, Peyton. But we're just expecting big things. No pressure. No pressure.
Well, I appreciate that, Mayor. I agree with you 100%. Before I ran for office, I was with the local Young Republicans that I started, and the whole mission of that was to get folks 18 to 40 involved, registered to vote. I'm amazed at the people that aren't even registered.
Right.
And so, a lot of people like to complain, but they don't like to go out and vote. And that vote gives you the right to complain, I think. So, get out there and get registered.
So, we talk a lot about the future, especially specifically for me being mayor of Shepherdsville, but really for the county and really for the state. People need to understand, what is it we want? What is it we truly want? Obviously we want lower taxes. We don't want crime. We want good schools. We can go to no traffic. Imagine that on 44.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, just wave the magic wand.
Yeah.
But I think for most people that are your age, and as you mentioned to the 40-year-olds, we want to make sure that just tell us, so that we can be representing of those type of things. And if you don't get engaged in the process, then what happens is, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it seems like the older crowd that votes, they vote for people that don't want that change. And it's not that that's bad, right? But we got to go to a point where we got to say, hey, what is it you want when you're older? What do you want for your kids and grandkids, right? Because, a lot of us are a little bit older, just a little bit older, but I feel a lot older. Did I mention today I'm just walking around a little slower?
He said he doesn't feel 16 today, and I was like, well, that's because you're not, Mayor.
Don't hurt my feelings.
You should be glad if you feel 16. That's a blessing.
Yeah, you should have seen it. The videos are not pretty.
But now I have to see them.
You have to see them. Yeah, but I think for you, Peyton, I think it's kind of a refreshing approach to this. We want to tap into maybe this podcast. We're going to have you back again in the future, but let's figure out what we package and talk and find a podcast as, hey, we're going to talk about these things today.
Yeah.
So what do you focus on? I've heard you a little bit, but tell me what you're focused on.
Well, I think you hit on something there, Mayor, and it's something that you're doing in Shepherdsville. I feel in a lot of ways that I'm representative of a lot of the folks, even though I grew up here, that are moving to Bullitt County. We've got a lot of young families that are moving out here.
Absolutely.
If you look, we're at about 84,000 people. I think the census even undercounted us a little bit in the north end. I think we're close to 100,000 people in this county. And a lot of that are folks that are moving from Jefferson County or other places in the state or all around the country that are coming here, and they're young families who are looking for a quality of life that we can deliver here. But to do that, I think you've got to have your government that's supporting things like what's going on here in Shepherdsville, reasons to stay in the county, not just live here and drive to E-Town or drive to Bardstown or drive to Louisville, which are all great places. But I think we need a supportive, true community here. And I think if government leaders that are supporting that community and creating a place that's safe, and affordable, but has great things to do in a community and build that community relationship, that's a good thing. And that's really a major focus of mine, and a focus that, hey, if you're moving here and you're a young person, get involved, whether you run for office or you don't, but in some way get involved in your community and make this a place that people really want to live. And I think we're seeing that. We're starting to see that.
Yeah.
And it's why we've had the growth here, but we've got to keep that going and get that support from our governmental leaders for the common good for folks here is a good thing.
Yeah, I want to mention that, we talk about big cities and people, they're good. There are good things about big cities, but the things that, we got to kind of just keep it. There are things that are challenging, and what we see is the taxes, the crime, and the school systems.
Yep.
And so if we're going to be that county or be those cities, Mount Washington's a great community, E-Town is, and Bardstown, Shepherdsville's getting there, and we will get there. But when you mentioned about having these things for families here, that's going to be a big thing because people will leave. I seen during the campaign, we saw that we knocked on thousands of homes, and when people answered the two questions I asked is, have you seen people come and talk to you? No. So that's another challenge for the elected officials to really get out there. And again, it's a two-way street. Voters have got to get to know the candidates, and the candidates got to get to know the voters. But the other question we asked was, how long have you been here? 5 years or less. A third of the people said that.
Yep.
So it tells you that we had this movement already that people want to get property values are better here. Taxes are better, and obviously crime's not like that. School system does well. I think there's always challenges with staffing, especially the teachers aspect of it and the school bus drivers. So we've seen some challenges there, but we still are a better community. And sometimes when you look to move, where do you move? I mean, we know the bedroom communities of Shelby County and Oldham County, right? We know that. Financially, some people can't afford that. So we see a lot pieces of Louisville, the Jefferson County, Southwest Side, Dixie Highway, Fairdale, Okolona, Outer Loop area. So these people want to find a better place to live. We're here. So I think you're right on that piece, and you're going to see a lot more younger folks do that. They're looking for that. But as they do that and enjoy some of the things that they have here, preserve it. I tell people all the time, we can't go back. You got to keep moving forward. And so I think that you're kind of on the right page with looking at these things. The challenges of Shepherdsville, we know it's water, right? We have lots of water. 65% of the city's in the floodplain. So I think what you're doing is to encourage, we hope to keep, encouraging more people to at least reach out to you, right? Be that, let you be the medium of that.
Right.
So what big plans? I mean, obviously, when do you go back to session again?
We'll be in January. Now we're starting this month. We're starting the interim committee meetings, which is where a lot of the work is done before you get back to session. And I was blessed to be put on the economic development, transportation, and judiciary, which I think all three are critically important to our community. Yeah. So we'll start that actually next week.
Yeah. So I want everybody to call Peyton Griffee about traffic.
Right. Yeah.
So we
potholes.
Yeah.
Well, we won't have them do that, but I do think that the transportation piece. When we look at 44 and all the years that's been like that, everybody goes, well, fix 44. Well, it's not like that easy, right? We know that piece. But what we do know is we need to be pushing for alternatives within this city I'm going to be the first guy to tell you, I need to see if we can get that interchange at 119.
Yeah.
Take the traffic off of 44 and Adam Shepherd in right there at the corridor. I do think also looking at another bridge across 480 to 44 that runs into Bell's Mill, runs into Preston, runs into Gene Snyder, right?
Yeah, that would help a lot.
So we're missing that piece from Cedar Grove to 44, but we've got to work on that. Obviously, your dad's done a great job.
Yeah.
He really has done a great job with
the
that.
road guy.
Yeah, he's the road guy. So if you can't get a hold of Peyton, call
That's
Keith
right.
Griffee.
Yeah, call Keith.
He's going to know. Wait a minute. You got to call him. But I do think that's a big piece for us.
Yeah.
What we bring here, I mean, this again, we talk about the impact of some of the things that we're developing here. It's not just for the city; it's a regional impact.
Right.
We want people to feel like they can do 75% of what they want, and so hopefully, as full service restaurants come into this play, better shopping, that you can do most of what you want to do in the community you live in. And if you work that's just awesome. You don't have to go too far for anything. You still want to go to a AAA baseball game or a really nice show in Louisville, go do it. But we want you to have these kind of things here. So we think it's going to be great. I tell you. So if you're looking at what would you advise people that want to get? You decided. How did you decide to do this? What made you think I'm going to go be a state representative?
Mayor, I'll be honest with you. It's a lot earlier than what I originally anticipated. I have been interested in politics since I was younger. So I went to Georgetown College here.
Yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. So I went. That's a fair point.
When he was 12.
Right. So when I was in college at Georgetown, I was a political science major and was president of the college Republicans and liked politics. But what certainly was not as into it as I am now, obviously. And this has been you're going on about 10 years now. So flirted with politics a little bit then, got a little involved, and then, would focus on other things, kind of went back and forth. Law school for me was really where I would say I got much more serious about political thinking and about maybe eventually running for office. And I worked for Daniel Cameron for about 2 years.
Great guy.
He is, and he was a great mentor to me, and really kind of shaped my philosophy, shaped how I would want to be as a public servant. And so that time working for him, which started, I started for him about a week before COVID started, which was a very interesting time to be working in the Attorney General's office. And so that was great for me. I was involved in a couple of organizations, graduated law school, and started the Young Republicans out here. And that was a big, formating, for me, again, to kind of continue that political thought, to try to get people involved. And I thought with owning a business, being in the Army Reserve, I thought, I would wait until at least my 30s to run for office. And sometimes
that would be about 16 years from now.
Right.
He's 14 now. We're aging him up a little bit during this podcast. He looks 14 now, doesn't
Can't put that out there. I don't think you're allowed to be a state rep if you're 14.
Yeah,
so
it's our little secret here on this podcast.
24 is the cutoff.
I was about to say we might be causing him some problems. He's going to have some hearings and stuff.
When I went to swear in, it's kind of like Six Flags. Like, you must be this tall to ride. I think they were looking for my birth certificate when I got up there. But anyway, so so I was gonna wait a little bit, but sometimes what I like to say, God's timing is not always our timing. And so Representative Weber, who did a good job for us.
Yeah, Russell's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yep, really good guy. He represented us well.
Yeah, for 11 years. And so he was excellent, and he took a job in the Treasury, which I think is a great thing for Bullitt County as well, to have somebody in that level of government. He's the deputy treasurer, very high up over there. And so that opening came available, and my wife and I, we studied on it, prayed on it, and it was the right time, and it's worked out. And so that's kind of how I ended up here. But really that political, like I said, that political philosophy, the interest in it started in college, but really I like to say was formed in law school working for General Cameron. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure how you encourage people to get involved, both on the election side of it, the political side of that piece, or just being engaged in the processes so you at least know what's happening. Because what happens a lot of times to most of us, and I'm as typical as anybody else, when you're young like that, you don't think like that. I was a Reagan guy.
Yeah.
I voted for Reagan. I was around. You guys weren't around.
Yeah, I was born the year that the Berlin Wall fell.
Yeah.
So
look at that. Yeah. So it's all right, I'm going to mark that down. And that was a good comment. But I do think it's, I see it as, I really do think there's a little bit of a feel that seeing you out there, it's kind of an inspirational. A lot of us that are a little bit older, we're really encouraged by that, and we're going to keep looking for. And there are younger folks,
Sure.
like Emily, and we've got Amanda now. That's again some younger folks that are being involved. I like that.
Yeah.
And we got Tom Huff too. So I mean, we got folks that are out there. We just need to keep. What I tell people all the time is, we need to be able to go to Frankfort and speak Bullitt Countyan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to speak about our needs and be able to do that. Again, I think your dad has done a great job with getting that information out there. So now we go as a force and we start going up there. And I think some of the elected officials here need to get up there. So we're going to make sure we come and see you guys and just show a presence that Bullitt County is going to be heard, because we're going to be one of the fastest growing counties. That's coming because we see that, because not only the migration from Louisville, but we're seeing people looking to come into Kentucky.
Oh, they're coming from out of state.
They're looking now for places to live, and we've got to be able to show them. We got a great bourbon experience, wineries. We have that piece, but we've got to have other things again for the families to do. A lot of big things coming down the pike. So I just want to make sure, just flip this around a little bit. You played a little bit of football, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
So we want to bring that up. Any other sports that you like to do?
So I was a
pickleball guy.
Yeah.
Gaga ball? Do you play Gaga ball? Because Eli's got a team.
So I like to say I am the worst natural athlete that ever played a college sport. So
Worst natural athlete. I have to think about that for a second.
I was
go together?
not a great athlete naturally. I had to work really hard, I guess, is the way.
Is the worst natural athlete kind of the same as the best unnatural athlete? Is that like you're right there beside that guy? I
That's
guess,
fair.
huh?
Yeah, that's fair.
He's the next guy down on the
he's
list.
The next guy down on the list. Yeah, exactly. So I loved football. That was my sport. And so started playing. I was an Old Mill Bengal in the Bullitt County League, which I think a lot of that's changed now. But really good memories of that, starting in about fourth grade, and then I played all the way through my first year of college. So it was something. What I love about football, Mayor, is I think the life lessons as a young man that you learn from football are few and far between. And so I had to, like I said, I had to work really hard. I was an offensive lineman at about I like to say I'm 6 foot. I think there's people that
like to say,
there's people that might disagree with that.
You
such
stretch
as doctors
real tall,
and But I wasn't that big of a guy. But I worked really hard and played high school ball at Christian Academy in Louisville.
Oh, okay. Great school.
Yeah, it was a great, at that point, a lot smaller than it even is now. They've experienced some rapid growth over there. And then played a year at Georgetown. So I enjoyed that. I loved it. I was not good at any other sports. That was the only sport.
That's when you met, and you worked hard at it. That's right.
I thought he was about to be like, I was not good at all.
No, I was a pretty good football player. I was a really bad basketball player, really bad baseball player, and then I threw shot put and discus as well.
Oh, cool.
Those were my two sports.
I was about to say, just looking at you, if you were an offensive lineman, you must not have been too bad, because you don't look like an offensive lineman.
Yeah. So I went to Georgetown to play. I was a good high school player. Went to Georgetown to play and got beat up for about.
I was about to say, just got
wrecked.
So I have to ask this question: is there a lot of trash talking on the line?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because like baseball players, we're really bad. They talk about family members you don't even have.
Yeah.
I've always heard that the line is the worst.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. Of course, I went to a small Christian school, and I would like to say that I refrained from that, but certainly didn't.
But a lot of Christian talk out there.
Sure. You got to help them up after.
On the next podcast, we're going to have Peyton talk about what they said on the line.
Yeah.
Because
30 minutes.
Yeah. So when you're not busy with all the things that you do, what do you like to do?
Of course,
if you don't say hanging out with your wife, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah,
that will be on the podcast.
That's where I was going to start. So, we've been married. We're going on 3 years now. We'll
awesome.
be at 3 years June 12th. So just here in a couple weeks. So spending a lot of time with her. We like to travel as much as we can. Of course, that's difficult with everything we've got going on. But new experiences and those kind of things. I do like to read. I'm a big history buff.
Oh,
so
me too.
Yeah,
I'm a history major.
Anything?
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
3.8 GPA.
Not to brag, right, Barry?
Did I do that again?
Who's everybody? Okay,
this is podcast.
This is a good question.
Wait a minute, we got Peyton on here. It's really, but it's still like.
This is a good question, because I was actually going to ask this one day whenever it was just me and you on here. I was going to ask you questions about to get to know Jose and stuff. Okay, so we got a bunch of history buffs around here. Who is everybody, if you go around the table, who is your like top 3 favorite presidents that we've ever had?
Wow. I'll let you start, Peyton.
But here there's a qualifier. You can't say Washington, you can't say Lincoln because everybody says those.
Sure. Okay. But those are very
those are 1 and 2 just, perennially.
I don't think I'm going to be included in this.
Eli doesn't know all the presidents.
He wasn't around long enough for like 4 of them maybe.
He's not sure who the president is now.
Well,
that's okay. That's okay. The president doesn't know who the president is.
All right. Yeah. So I'll let him start.
Huge Reagan guy, big Reagan guy. I would say Teddy Roosevelt from a, especially from like a biography type.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah. So I keep a copy of Man in the Arena in my office in Frankfurt and in Shepherdsville. So Teddy Roosevelt, and then somebody a little bit more that's getting a kind of a revival here lately. So I'll just kind of throw a curveball in is President Grant.
That's good. I was going to say that. I was going to say because people forget we had to keep things together, and he really did a pretty good job there.
Have you ever heard the story about his autobiography?
No.
He wrote his autobiography because apparently, I guess Grant, he had like a lot of like alcohol problems and stuff like that. He was kind of known as like a little bit of a drunk. But so after he was, he was done with the presidency or whatever, he basically just like went and became like a homeless dude. Like he he was not living lavishly. Like
no, he was not.
He was. Yeah. So he wrote an autobiography and he made a deal with some publisher or something like that he was going to sell this autobiography for like nothing. Yeah. Just because he was just like here's money. Yeah. And Mark Twain actually like called him and was like, sell it to me. He was like, don't sell this autobiography. Sell it to me. I'll take care of it.
I think that was Grant. I think is a really big one. I got to tell you, I got to throw Jefferson out there. And the reason why I throw him out there because he was so involved in so many things outside of the presidency, right? So we have to think sometimes some of these people that it's like it's almost their turn. And sometimes we saw that kind of happen. So I kind of look at that as kind of pivotal because right after you get through the Revolutionary War, you're looking at things that are going on, and some of that makeup. I think he's a big part of the founding piece there.
And he was so young too. People don't understand how young he was.
So what was it? I was trying to remember exactly one of the stories with the duel and how they had this big friction and how things worked. But I got to tell you, Jefferson's one. But I tell you, you get into I was trying to think, and Woodrow Wilson was a very controversial person, right? But there are certain things that happen.
Some people would say terrible person, but whatever.
Yeah, there's and so you look at their. So I always try to look at like when things get done, what's happening after like World War I.
Yeah,
with really the pressure put on Germany, right? That was really that created the Second War. And then I always try to look at I'm not a big fan of. It's so different today what we know about the presidents. I want to go. I got to throw a trivia thing out there because I want to throw out something for Bill O'Reilly. He does these books, Killing Jesus, Killing Lincoln they're all good, and they're really cool books. Killing Reagan. One funny story about Reagan. I was actually at Bellarmine. We were at IUS playing when we heard that he got shot, and obviously the typical line, the great line that he says. He asked the doctor if he was Democrat, Republican. That was taken care of. And that's how he was. But, people the Reagan piece is kind of, as you peel it back a little bit more, we all know that there's some really understanding that government is an asset, but don't let it control. Right. And that's the big piece that Reagan was trying to push. And he was probably a great public relations guy, but he wasn't the guy that's getting meat and potatoes done. He was that guy out front. I feel like that's me sometimes.
My thing with Reagan, I like Reagan, and I think Reagan was a pretty good dude.
Oh, he's a good dude.
Yeah, if you go back and listen to the things he said and stuff, I think he was a good dude. Everyone who loves Reagan, who is in charge now, who is like 75 years old, sucks though. Like all the people who like fetishize Reagan and like talk about like Reagan, they're nothing like Reagan. Like they're nothing like him. I feel like they just use him. So he kind of gets tarnished a little bit. But like him himself was actually, I feel like he was a pretty good dude. But I feel like people just kind of use his legacy.
Well, look at Kennedy. Today's Kennedy is a conservative president.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look at the way, so we've seen a lot of evolution. So it's really the Grant that was a big one for me because I really thought if you look at the reconstruction of the country after what had been through. Sure. So I think, would you want to answer one president that you like, Eli?
Any?
I mean, I like Trump.
All right. That's fresh on your mind. All right.
I mean,
convicted felon Trump. No.
Yeah. I'm getting text on that stuff today. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I don't get it. So who do you like? I mean,
Well, I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of Teddy Roosevelt. I didn't want to copy anybody else's answer, but I like Teddy Roosevelt. Some of the stuff, Teddy Roosevelt, he was kind of the beginning of like the progressive movement, which necessarily wasn't the best thing, but at the time, basically America was run by like 5 dudes who like owned everything, and it kind of needed to be broken up. Otherwise, we were going to like become like serfs to these, Rockefellers. So I like him. His life is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that like this dude would just like, he would have, some people have bad days and like they, mope around for like a couple days. He would have bad days and like go on an expedition in the Amazon, like hunting for some animal that nobody knows exists. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of dude he was. So like, I like him a lot. I've always found him very fascinating. I've always found Andrew Jackson really fascinating, just because like
another good one.
There's some things about him that like I'm like, wow, he had some crazy ideas, some cool ideas. Some of the stuff he did was crazy, but then also there's like terrible things he did. So I'm like, I don't know. He's kind of like, he's a weird one. But like the fact that he wanted to he didn't want us to have currency. Did you know that?
No.
Like he was like totally against like national. He was all about like trading like furs for stuff. Like that's what he wanted. He was like, I don't think we should have a Fed. I don't think there should be anybody telling us.
Well, there's a lot of conversation about having a Fed.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, I think he, way back then he kind of saw some of that stuff coming, where how much control like someone would have if they control your currency, I guess. But and also just the fact that like he threw a party on the White House lawn whenever he got elected, and he threw a party, invited anybody. So so everybody came, and it lasted for like days because no one would leave. They had to they finally, I think, what was it? They had to take like beer out onto the lawn of the White House so that people would leave the White House, and then they locked it.
Yeah.
And to get them to go, get them to get out.
Oh my.
Yeah, so I like.
Were you there?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. That was the 7th president.
In your former life,
that happened before the Berlin Wall fell.
Yeah, and that's a lot of things. Gosh, we look at things today. We need to be very careful, and we look at the world situation. But I think for most of us, we don't really know. You talk about presidents. There's not a lot of conversation about the issues. People really don't know, and what they do is use their feelings and opinions,
right?
And that doesn't help. And we have social media; those are very tough.
Right.
Get the facts right, Peyton. Because really, we want people to know more than anything else. We're having a little bit of fun with this today, but really, we want to encourage people that if you have an issue or something that you're passionate with, do some research on it. Call the right people. Call the elected. Call the mayor's office, or actually call your office, Peyton. If there's something happening in Frankfurt, we want to encourage people to do that and get the right information. Now, once you get it, you still may feel strongly about your opinion, which is fine. But we have a lot more respect as elected officials to let you know that if you come to us, we're going to give you the best information we can give you and make your decision from that. You may still not be convinced of us.
Well, and also, like, if you come with, if you have a problem about something and you come and you're trying to talk to somebody about the problem, and that person clearly sees that you haven't done the research from what you're saying or whatever, they're not going to take your problem seriously. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, well, if you not necessarily not take it seriously, but they're going to be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, I'm sorry, but like,
well, it opens that dialogue,
right?
Yeah, I think that's really important for folks. Something I've tried to do. I was unopposed in the special, the primary, and the general, but I've taken it really seriously to still basically go to anything like I'm campaigning, like I've got opposition.
Right. You have done that, and that's very appreciative from me, because you didn't take it. You've been out there really hustling, getting to know folks, and I mean, you treat it like you're actually in a campaign right now. Right. I think that's been respectful from a lot of us that are watching you right now.
Well, I appreciate that, Mayor. And the main reason behind that is I feel like it's my duty to people to meet them, to meet them where they are, and go to community events and knock on doors and talk to folks. Because if you feel like you know your state representative, I think it's easy to get on Facebook and say this and that. But if you meet somebody one-on-one and see where they really stand on issues, and see, be able to open that dialogue and explain what's really going on, I think that's better for everybody.
You see that they're actually a decent person. Like, you talk to them, you see they're a decent person.
That's
right.
Like,
oh, they might disagree with me, but they seem like an all right person. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, we do actually want to make ourselves very available. I mean, because it is. I mean, once and people go, I didn't know that. Well, that's the piece.
Yeah.
That's the information we're trying to get to you. And I think at this point, I think that Bullitt County is represented very well. not only by your district, but I think we have a lot of folks in this community that really want to see us do well. And we're really on the same page right now. So you're going to see a lot more things that happen. But people are going to hear a lot more about us and hear a lot more about you, Peyton, because we're excited to have you. I think you're going to do really good things. And you got a good family that supports you, and that's great. Not just your immediate family, but the rest of your family that's right behind you. And I know your dad's real proud, and I'm proud of you. And I was talking to him, I said, "You're a proud papa, aren't you?" He goes, "Yep." Yep. So good stuff. So what we want to do more than anything else is we first of all thank you for being here. Anytime, you're always welcome to come back. We want to talk. Maybe what we'll do is, you get through the next session, have you back here, talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because we are going to try to find a way. Eli and Travis really want to focus in on a new venue that young folks can come to and just hear. And then we'd like to be able to, we're going to try to turn this, it's kind of a moving target with this podcast. We want people to, what's that email, Jess, again?
YesWayJoseMail@gmail.com.
You see how we did it? We're working pretty good on that.
We're good, yeah.
So be careful. I might be coming to you. Better
Subscribe, follow, wherever you get the podcast. Tell your friends, please.
Yeah, we really want people just to take a time, just listen,
Sure.
And then is this something that I could listen to, or is this something I can maybe get information that I want to find out something? And we want to do both those things. But really, guys, I appreciate all the time. Peyton, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mayor.
Hey, real quick, favorite food?
Favorite food? I'm a Mexican food guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anything?
Aren't we all?
Yeah, we are.
Mexican food, it's just like the same 5 ingredients, just mixed together and called something different. So yeah, it's like,
On the menu, it's called enchiladas or tacos.
right.
you read it, it's all the same
really
ingredients.
good.
They just combine them
It's
different.
good stuff. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Peyton, thank you very much for coming, and we're glad to have you. Listen, Eli, any words of wisdom you'd like to share with the audience today?
How'd Gaga Ball going? Did you have any games this week?
Yeah.
We're the playoffs start soon. So
The playoffs start
Yeah,
soon.
things are getting.
What are y'all
serious,
record? Did y'all make the playoffs?
Yeah, we made it. Yeah, we're like
Okay.
we're like the
Clinched.
2 seed.
Okay, cool.
Well, we'll have to keep up with that. We just make up stuff as we go along. We hope that that's part of the podcast.
People are gonna think this is serious.
At some point,
people are
there's-
gonna be like, "Where can I watch this?"
At some point, there's going to
Watch
like
this
the Gaga Ball.
We'll be recruiting at Ole Mill.
Yeah, I'm going to say the
Looking for some
Gaga
of the
Ball
kids.
League is just going to spring up out of nothing just from people listening to the podcast.
So if anybody that's listening to this podcast doesn't know what Gaga Ball is, you got to just go Google it. It's really kind of cool, but I'm telling you, I'm going for the adult version.
You should do it.
In a
It'd be
pit.
funny.
And just, again, we were going to throw some beverages in Peyton. It's going to be really funny.
Yeah. Good.
So
Be there.
the videos will be out everywhere. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Listen, we always appreciate you listening to us. We're going to have you back.
Be great.
Appreciate all you're doing. Eli, Travis, love, peace, chicken grease.
Love, peace, chicken grease. Let's go.
Thanks, guys.